Right, before we talk about how we're going to do this, I want to justify the clickbait title and prove this is actually a thing. In just over 500 days since Shadowlands released, I have made around 790 million gold profit. Now I go into more detail on these numbers in my Road to 1 billion gold series, so there's no need to bloat the runtime in this video, but basically around 500 million gold or around 1 million gold profit a day of that comes from the one thing we're going to talk about in this video. Just stressing here, that is 1 million gold a day profit, not 1 million gold a day in sales, which is obviously significantly easier to get. By far the best way to make gold in World of Warcraft currently, and probably always has been and always will be, whatever expansion we are in, is by flipping. There have been times in Shadowlands where I've made 30 million gold profit in 24 hours with crafters marks, which I have a video about, and I've definitely made much more than that with legendary crafting, but still none of this comes close to flipping. So what is flipping? To put it as simple as possible, flipping is buying something and reselling it for more than you bought it for. Flipping is probably the highest risk gold making strategy, as you're having to risk your own gold to make more gold. If you farm and the price of something crashes, then you'll have just earned less gold per hour, but you'll still make a profit, or at the worst, wasted some time. If you craft something and the price crashes, you may lose some gold, but with crafting it would be extremely rare for you to lose everything. Prices can drop below your crafting costs, but it's almost unheard of for something to suddenly become worth nothing. But with flipping, there is always risks. Will it sell for more than I bought it for? Will it even sell at all? When I buy it, will someone else just list another one at the same price I bought it for? And if so, what then? So in this video I'm going to talk about how to find potential flips, and even if you should buy them when you do find them. There are loads of different ways to find things that you can flip on the auction house. The most obvious way to most players, I guess, would just to be look at the auction house with a basic UI and see what you think is cheap. Blizzard has also introduced a favourites feature, which isn't terrible as well, and it makes it quite efficient keeping an eye on prices on whatever you want. All that being said, the basic Blizzard UI is fine for watching a few markets closely, but it's pretty crap for finding things to flip, and it doesn't give us any additional information besides the current listed price on this particular server. Now there are websites such as the Undermined Journal who have much more information than you could ever get in game, including price history and region-wide values. I used the Undermined Journal for quite a long time for finding things to flip, and once set up, this is probably the laziest way to do it. Once you're signed up and logged in, you can set up notifications. For example, you could set it up so that you get a notification when a certain item is listed on your server below a certain price. Then once an hour, Undermined Journal sends you a notification with everything that meets that criteria that you have set up, and then you simply log on to the auction house and buy it up. You can have up to 1,000 notifications set up, so you can spread quite a wide net. Trust me, that's enough notifications for anyone. There's only two issues I have with this technique. Without premium, I think it's 6 hourly notification. Now it's cheap, and it's always good to be supporting people who provide these resources to the community. However, that will obviously be an issue for a lot of people. Now, because the Undermined Journal only sends out notifications once an hour, it's not unusual at all for you to get the auction house and these items have already gone. On the plus side, it pulls its data direct from Blizzard, which I think means, unlike with TSM Great Deals etc., that no one needs to have seen and turned down the opportunity to buy a certain item before you get a notification on it, so it's not unusual to still find these amazing deals available on the auction house. On the TSM website, you can also set up item notification of best deals. Now I have sort of used some of these for short periods of time, but I've never really got much use out of it myself. I'm sure someone somewhere is making millions by using them. I'm just pointing out they exist more than anything else. Okay, TSM Sniper and shopping scans is probably what a lot of people are using to try and find potential flipping opportunities. Basically, you're going to have a list of things and you're going to be scanning the auction house for these and sorting by the cheapest price, usually as a percentage of the region-wide value, so you can decide whether to buy or not. I'm not going to do a TSM tutorial on this video about setting this all up, and there's loads of videos out there that cover it, and I want to keep the length of this video reasonable. Now I do have a very basic TSM Sniper scan setup on an old video I did, which I have linked in the description below, and you are more than welcome to use. This was set up to be super safe, so you're not going to get as many hits as you normally would, but you can change it on the settings so that you do see more on the scan, but you'll be relying more on your own judgment as to whether to buy or not. Recently we've had Point Blank Sniper with Auctionator, probably replacing TSM as the better auction house scanning add-on for finding great potential flips. From this, however, I'm not speaking from experience, just simply from what I've seen, and it does seem so much quicker at doing the scans, which can take TSM a long time to carry out. If you've never used TSM or any of these add-ons before and you're interested in flipping, then it's probably a good idea to have a look at Point Blank Sniper. But for those of us that are already set up with TSM, then it's probably easier just to carry on doing what we already know. We have an item, and this is the listing on 5 different servers. How many of them are you going to buy? It has a region market value average of over 6.2 million gold and a sale rate of 0.2, which is really high, so you're going to get a quick sale too. Would you buy it at 10k, 50k, 100k, 500k, or even $1 million? Well, hopefully you answered none of the above, because this is 100% fake value. 1 week ago, this had a region value of 33 gold. I bought them all up across the whole EU and relisted them on all the auction houses for stupid prices to push the region value price right up just to make a point. Now, I tried to make it look as fake value as possible by picking a green ring to do it on, but what about if it was an epic armor or weapon or a recipe you didn't know? Then it makes the decision to buy or not to buy much more difficult if you are just basing it on numbers alone. It is always worth checking to see if prices are being manipulated if you are unsure. Now, if the Undermined Journal listing looks something like this, and you have a lot of single listings at 10 million gold, then there is an obvious attempt to push up the item's value as much as possible. It's really hard to know what something is actually worth when you see this sort of listing if you have no experience with an item, so I would be avoiding these if possible. Now, there's another sort of price manipulation that's not so aggressive, and we see an example of this here. Loads of listings at exactly the same price on many servers, so it's obvious the same person listing them. In this case, me. You're going to see loads of this if you look, especially on Battle Pets. Listing them at up to 2 times the current region-wide price is not going to dramatically change the price suddenly, but it will slowly nudge it up over time, so you still have to be careful here. This means the price will rise. You don't know if it will push it out of range of what people are willing to buy it at. Even if it doesn't, it will affect the sales rate, but at the end of the day, it also means you'll likely sell it for more too. You still have to be careful though. Think of it like a cryptocurrency. If one person owns such a large percentage of the market, if they suddenly decide to crash the market, then it is very difficult to make it recover. So what about TSM region sales average numbers? This is the average price that an item is sold for, and surely this is a much more reliable number than the region market value. It's true, it does take a little bit more work to manipulate this, as you have to turn off your TSM when you buy something, so the chance of it registering are much lower. You then spam by your own auctions with TSM turned back on at whatever price you want to push it to, and once again you can make the numbers say pretty much whatever you want them to. Like I said earlier, if all you do is look at a number an add-on is telling you what something is worth and base your decision to try flipping on that alone, you're going to lose a lot of gold. It's fine to use these numbers to try and find potential deals, but the decision to buy or not is down to you. So what do we consider when we decide to buy or not? Anything crafted, don't touch. It's that simple, don't flip it. If someone lists a legendary for 3k gold instead of 30k gold, sure, go for it. But generally speaking, anything except an accidental huge underlisting is a waste of time and you will definitely lose gold. If there's 5 Felsteel Longblades, a crafted Burning Crusade sword, on your auction house for 35k and it's 100k on every other server, you're not going to buy it. Because even if you buy them all and relist them for 100k, the following day there'll be another 5 on the auction house and they'll soon be back to 35k. Pretty much anything that you can easily get an infinite supply of is a really bad idea for flipping. In fact, where an item comes from is one of the main factors affecting how many items are going to be coming into the auction house, and that supply is one of the most important factors when it comes to deciding whether to buy or not. If it comes from a rare, if it comes from a world drop, if it comes from a reputation paragon cache, all these sort of things are a pretty good start, as you have some sort of assurance that knowing someone can't just spam the market with more of something if you try flipping it, as it has some degree of rarity to it. Changes in supply and demand can be some of the best opportunities to make the most profit or lose the most gold from flipping. Basic economics: if demand stays the same and supply increases, then prices will drop. If demand stays the same but supply drops, then the price will increase. So if you know a situation is coming up where supply or demand is going to change, then you can take advantage of that. This is showing the price history of some BFA Island Transmog for around the last 18 months. The red line is showing the available quantity across the whole EU, and the blue line is the average price across all servers. Now, just before Shadowlands release, the price is at its absolute lowest, and the red line, the amount available in the auction house, is by far at its highest point. This is understandable. Players have been running islands for the whole of BFA. These have been piling up on the auction house over time. Once Shadowlands releases, over the next year you can see the available quantity on the auction house drop month by month as no one is running islands anymore and they're slowly getting bought up. You can see the price go from around 80k on Shadowlands release to 240k a year later. So buying up at the start of expansions, even at full price, you would have tripled your gold, and most of the time you'll be buying at a much lower price than that. Then a year later we have another change to the supply or demand. Blizzard releases solo queue for islands and suddenly people start farming the mounts, the transmog, and everything else became so much easier. You can see the available quantity almost doubled on the auction house in a fairly short time, and the price dropped by about a third over the next month. In this case, if you'd have tried flipping this right before the patch, you would have been in trouble as the price suddenly crashed. Understanding and taking advantage of changes in supply and demand can make you crazy amounts of gold when flipping. Let's do an example, and the question is simple. Which of these do we buy, and if so, how many? And which of these do we just walk away from? We're assuming we have used whatever method, but we've found some items on the auction house that are potential flips. We've done some research and we're confident the values are fairly accurate, but which of these are you going to buy? Hope Ender, Transmog, 31k regional market value, 10k region sale average. This is the listings for this item on 4 different servers. Which of these are you going to buy and how many? And which of these are you not going to touch? I'll give you a few seconds to pause the video if you want to think about it yourself, and I'm going to go through what I would do in each of these situations. Let's start here. So we have a listing at 500 gold. That is less than 2% of region market value, an absolutely insanely low price. A couple of listings at 5,400 gold, or around 17% of region market value, and 2 more at just below region market value. So what would you buy? In this situation, the listing at 500 gold is just too tempting for me not to buy. I would buy that, but I think I would just throw it into a bank. That is because I don't think I'd want to buy the 2 at 5,400 gold. Even though they are well below the regional value, I would not want to have 3 items to sell and then be in a situation where the price on the server is still below the region-wide price, and even worse, there are 2 other people also listing this item, reducing my chances of getting a sale. I am, however, not saying in this situation that buying the cheapest 3 is completely wrong. If you did buy them, you'd only spend just over 11k and be able to list at over 26k, so you'd only need 1 sale to be well into profit from what you've spent. Personally, I would rather just invest over 20 times less, just invest that 500 gold, just be patient and wait for a day when there's a good price on this server. Next, we have 3 listings at 4,600 gold, or around 15% of the region market value. Now, it would cost more in this situation to buy these 3 in this example than in the last one, but I think this time it is a much better investment. Even though you're spending slightly more gold, the fact that you will, at least until someone farms another, have complete control of the market is a massive factor. This is because you don't have to worry about someone else selling their auctions first if they list after you, or them driving the price down. As far as the price is concerned, you can list at whatever you want. Just because the region value is 31k does not mean you cannot make a listing at 40 or 50k, but it is going to affect how quickly you get a sale, and we want to get that first sale as quickly as possible to cover the cost of the investment. I would 100% not hold it against anyone to buy these up and flip these in this situation, but buying 3 items at 15% of region market value is really at the top end of what you should be willing to spend, and I would probably turn this one down, but it's a close one. Next, we have one auction listed at 7,300 gold, or around 23% of region market value. This is by far the most expensive cost per item in all these examples, and it's probably the one I'd be most willing to buy. The huge bonus on this one is that you get in control of the market with a single purchase, and even though the cost per item is high, the sheer amount of gold you end up investing is less than most examples which need multiple purchases. Here you only need to make one quick sale in a market you control, and you've made your profit and you can walk away. Getting in and out quickly is a huge bonus. It is a bit more than I'd like to invest per item. I like to keep it below 10% of region market value ideally, but I still think this is the best out of all the examples. On this option, we have 13 auctions listing at 2,700 gold each. That is less than 10% of region market value, so that is a really good price to be picking these up on. Now you can buy all of these and you only need to sell one at region market value and you've pretty much made all your gold back, which from a potential profit perspective sounds amazing, but you have to be super careful with listings like this. The problem we have here is the sheer quantity available to buy, and it's not uncommon to see this, especially on high population or RP realms when it comes to transmog. The supply on this item is clearly much higher than the demand and it's driven the price into the ground. There is no way if you buy all these you're not going to end up with loads of them stockpiled in your bank that you cannot sell. This is basically a race to sell off what you can before the auction house gets flooded again from the sheer amount of this item that gets farmed on this server. Even though you have super cheap prices and this has huge potential profit, it is extremely risky and I would generally avoid buying this many of an item. That is pretty much flipping. What you need to look out for, some general advice, etc. Believe it or not, I actually cut this video length down quite a lot as there was so much more I could have covered. I said at the start of the video about making 500 million gold in 500 days. Now if you started this today you probably wouldn't make 500 million gold in the next 500 days, but I have checked my history and I did manage to get to 1 million gold profit a week 4 weeks after starting flipping and 2 million after 3 months. It will take some time, some effort, some experience and some losses. But if you're willing to go through all that, then you are looking at the best way to make gold in WoW, whatever expansion we are in. If you really put the effort in over the next few months, then you could well get to that 500 million gold in 500 days if you are willing to do this across multiple servers. Thanks for watching guys. If you can like, comment, all that stuff, it really helps me out and I'll see you next time.